here we are for another draft video. Um, we are doing a M14 4322. I didn't really feel like for the 8-man to fire. Anyways, grab my mouse here. This pack is pretty decent. There's a lot of playable cards in here. The ones that stick out the most, excuse me, are the claustrophobia and the water servant, the messenger drake. I love blue black. I mean, that's my absolute favorite archetype, and I feel like it's unbeatable. A lot of other decks can just, not really come together. So yeah, but anyways, there's a lot of blue stuff that I'm passing here. I'm really just debating between if I want the water serpent or the Sengir vampire. I think I just want to take the Sengir. It's more flexible, and I am passing a ton of really sweet blue cards. Imposing Sovereign is decent, but white kind of just doesn't really have all that. So I'm just gonna take the Sengir and see what happens. Okay, so there's no blue cards here, and we really heavily signaled blue to to who we're passing to. Disperse is fine. It's still a really great card. But I think that I would rather take the Tenacious Dead here. Um, it opens me up to be able to play like a red black sacrifice deck, or something of that sort. And if I even if I play this with if blue starts flowing a little bit stronger, then I can play this and pick up a Blood Baron somewhere, and that will be okay. So just gonna go ahead and take that. Sort this by cost. All right, so here we see. There is a Siphon Sliver, which is decent, I guess. I mean, it's a 2/2 lifelink. That's not terrible, but there's a lot better. I mean, Child of Night is essentially the same thing. I just don't like small creatures in this format at all. I feel like Sensory Deprivation is the pick here. I could either go with that or Nightwing Shade. I'm not seeing any red cards coming to me, and I also feel like if I cut blue and just take a bunch of black cards in pack 2, I should end up with a pretty sweet deck. So, I mean, I signaled the guys to our left in blue pretty hard with that claustrophobia and everything, and we might actually wheel a playable out of that pack because it's so good. But I think I'm just gonna take the sensory deprivation here. Other considerations are the Nightwing Shade or the Griffin Sentinel. Pay No Heat is fine as well, but I think I just want to try and force blue black because it is just the best deck by a long shot. Here we see a Scroll Thief or an Alder's Reap. Scroll Thief puts us more into forcing blue black, whereas Alder's Reap is kind of staying on the possibility that we can go like red black sacrifice or something like that. Picking up some active treasons and whatnot. But I think I just want to take the Scroll Thief anyways. Alder's Reap is much easier to pick up later than Scroll Thief is, so I'm just gonna take that. Alright, so here we see Time Ebb, Wall of Frost, Corpse Hauler. This is a wow, this is a really late Chandra's Outrage, but this is a kind of a clear signal that blue is still relatively open on our right, which means we'll get fed like crazy for the remainder of the pack and on pack 3. I really like Wall of Frost. These blue black decks, they're all control decks. I mean, you just basically just use removal and like opportunity and like early trades and things like that, and then just like get an Elixir of Immortality, shuffle your deck back in, and everything like that. So I'm just gonna take Wall of Frost here. Um, Close between Wall of Frost, Corpse Hauler, and Time Map, but I think Wall of Frost is definitely the long-term card that we would like to have. All right, Bubbling Cauldron is not terrible, especially in a deck like this that just wants to, stay alive. Um, it's not the best though, and we also don't have any Festering Newts yet. Um, there's a chance that we might get one of these later. I think that cutting blue and taking the Scroll Thief is a much better option though here, so we're gonna take that. All right. A Johnny's Chosen is a 3/3 for 4 mana that makes 2/2 guys every time you play a enchantment. Well, we don't have any enchantments, and we're definitely not playing this card. It's not that good. I mean, it's okay, but it's not the best. I mean, if you're mono enchantments, it's fine. But I think I'd rather take Coral Merfolk as a sideboard option. I never main deck this card. Shrivel is decent as well. against the a bunch of X ones, but we might even wheel something like that. So I'm just gonna send another signal that hey, white is open, go ahead, so that they can just take that and stop taking our cards. I've heard Staff of the Mind Magus is really great for like gaining a ton of life and over the course of the game just getting incremental advantage with this card by gaining life and casting spells. But I've always had the mindset like if I'm like I really need to rip a removal spell or I'm dead, and it's like oh okay I have Staff of the Mind Magus in my hand, I'll rip that. Oh okay, play Island, gain a life. Yeah, doesn't really seem the best to me. I'll pick it up and maybe play it if it's good, but as for this, I'm gonna take the Festering Mood. And white is obviously open because that's ridiculous. All right, well this is a pretty simple pick. We're just gonna take the Bloodbaron, especially because we already got the Tenacious Dead. Tomb Scour is actually decent in like a mirror match type situation. Sanguine Bond. I'm actually just gonna take the Sanguine Bond though. I've seen people like combo out with this card and Angelic Accord and stuff like that, as well as what's it called? Mark of the Vampire. I think. Right? Yeah, that works with that. Okay. Encroaching Waste is unplayable. I guess Pay No Heed is probably what I don't want to play against, just in case we pick up a Corrupt. Dark Favor. Right, well, I'm just gonna take Dark Favor here. Blessing. Should have just passed the Blessing actually to show them that white was open. Alright, well, we didn't get the best stuff. We're looking to pick up like liturgies and some claustrophobias and stuff. We didn't wheel like anything really good from that first pack. Hopefully we get like a just like really great rare here that we can you know use effectively. Hopefully it's not something like not in our colors like Archangel or something. Okay, Vastwood Hydra. Alright, well that card is really great, but we are not playing those colors. Phantom Warrior is pretty good. He's a 2/2 unblockable, which can get out of control relatively quickly. I mean, the like I said, the format goes extremely long, and he can be targeted and everything, which is great. So he's no invisible stalker, but he's still a fine body. And other than that, there's really no good cards in this pack. A Cursed Spirit is something that I'm not really too fond of. I mean, it's got Intimidate, but people can be playing black or artifacts, and also it just dies to like every removal spell in the format. So I think Phantom Warrior is the pick over Cancel, Sensory Deprivation, and Negate. We're just gonna go ahead and snap that guy up right now. Okay, so here we have Negate, Essence Scatter, Child of Night, Dark Favor. I'm not a fan of Child of Night. This, like I said, format's really slow. I've said that for like 10 times now, but it gets quickly outclassed. Like you play this on the draw on 2 or something, and they play Advocate of the Beast, and you're like, oh, okay, well, sure, I just wasted a card. That being said, I'm going to pick up this Essence Scatter because countering creature spells is very good in this format. Ooh, okay. So here's Bogbrew Witch. Bogbrew Witch is actually really sweet here. Unfortunately, Tenacious Dead is also in this pack as well, and we already have a Blood Baron and we already have a Tenacious Dead. This card is really, really good. um, it really is just great, even just as a defensive card. You just play it and you just like block everything and then get it back to the battlefield and take over with your other cards. Frost Breath, I'm not a huge fan of. It's more of an aggressive card. Maybe if you're like blue green, like whatever big stuff. But this doesn't really, I don't really see that this is a removal spell. I think I want to take the Bogbrew Witch. Hopefully, I'll get a Bubbling Cauldron, and then I'll just be able to use that engine to get a lot of stuff. Also, the Festering Newt just gets turned on by her, so it just makes our Newts like removal spells. Death Gaze Cockatrice is also a really great one there. But okay, so here we have Divination, which is awesome. Train Condor is decent, but like I said, just gets outclassed. I liked it at first, because it was great. Like Scroll Thief, in the air, hit you for 1, draw a card. Or even in blue green, like my first draft when I flew a couple of Balos into the air, but they play a Seacoast Drake and you're just sitting there with a 2/1. That's just like kind of dirtling by itself. So Corpse Hauler is also a fine pick, but we're gonna take Divination here. And there's a Seacoast Drake, like I was speaking of. This is a decent pack. Diabolic Tutor can be cool for us putting our stuff together. It's also really great if I can pick up an opportunity later, which I'm hoping to. I'm really hoping to pick up like liturgies and archaeomancers and stuff like that to kind of like fill out the curve and make this deck full of powerful spells. But Ring Flash is decent. I feel like we can wheel one of those though, so I'm just gonna take the Seacoast Drake. It's a fine early play. Can get in some damage against the slower decks, and it also just blocks just about everything in the format. So we're just gonna go ahead and take the Seacoast Drake here. Okay, so there's another Ring Flesh and a Nightwing Shade. I like Nightwing Shade. It's pretty sweet. Mana dump later on, but I would rather take the removal spell. We can pick up late game threats later. There's another Staff of the Mind Magus, but I think I'm just going to take the Ring Flesh here. Okay, so this is perfect here. We've got another Blood Baron to complement all of our little creatures like these. Makes combat super awkward for them. I can't tell you the number of times where I've just had Blood Barons and a couple of little pesky guys like these out, and they can't profitably block or attack. So having two Blood Barons is something I'm not going to complain about. Spell Blast is really awful counter spell, so I'm not going to take that. But Duress is a fine card, maybe even main deckable, but I doubt it. All right. Well, now we have to choose between Negate and a Cursed Spirit. A Cursed Spirit dies, like I said, to literally every removal spell in the format, pretty much, which sucks. But if it's like a pacifism effect or a claustrophobia effect or something like that, we at least have the Blood Barons to sacrifice it, so we can get it back. Negate is great, but it's not, you know, it's not always the best. It can be it can be used to counter, obviously a non-creature spell. But there is a lot of removal and stuff in the format. But I still feel like I can get another negate, so I would rather take the Acre Spirit. Okay. I guess I'll just pick up Child of Night here, even though it's really bad. I might not even play it. And holy crap, that is ridiculous. All right, so now we have two Tenacious Deads and we have two Blood Barons. So that's gonna be really sweet. Um, Cards I really don't want to deal with. I guess I'll just cut this Glade Cover Scout. Quarter Shield is fine. Wow, that's a really late Diabolic Tutor too. Holy crap. Alright, so we'll take a Lava X and an Island. Alright, so we're really pulling for some good stuff here. We want to pick up Archaeomancers, hopefully an opportunity. I would love to open an opportunity here. I mean, I've had, I've gotten past like a, ooh, jeez. Alright, well, Liliana's Reaver is just insane. Absolutely busted. Also, Corrupt is very, very good, but um, I don't know if I really like it more than Reaver. Reaver has just got the chance to, take over the game. You play it on 4, and you play like a removal spell, which I'm hoping to pick up. Um, and then it's just really downhill from them. Every time he hits a guy, hits him, they discard a card, and then you make a guy, which pairs really, really well with our Blood Barons. I wish that I could take the corrupt. Maybe I'll get past one though, but I'm obviously not gonna get past the Liliana's Reaver, so I'm just gonna take the absurd rare and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. We got past the corrupt. Um, Unfortunately, we also got past an Elixir of Immortality, which both of those are very, very good cards. Elixir of Immortality just kind of lets you play the long game. So you can just, play out all your threats, use your removal like, semi unsparingly, and just kind of, throw it out at them. And, then all of a sudden, they get around it, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to shuffle my deck back in. I have 9 lands in play, and all of a sudden I have all my cards back into my library, which makes it, a lot better for your draw steps than, everything else. But unfortunately, we didn't get a ton of good stuff, so I think I'm just going to take the corrupt here. And maybe I'll get a good spell. Maybe I'll get a really nice Archaeomancer to pick up the corrupts, which would be awesome. Here, I think we're just gonna take the Wall of Frost. Another defensive card is totally fine. It's definitely something that we can look forward to. Ring Flush is a close second. Mind Rot is also main deckable, but I'm just gonna take the Wall of Frost here. All right, so here we have another sensory deprivation, the late Sarah Angel, and a cancel. I don't really like cancel just because it costs 3, so it's like a little bit harder to leave up. But sensory Sensory Deprivation is a fine card, and I like to have those in my deck. Really hoping to get some premium removal spells here, though. I'm really looking to get a Liturgy, a Claustrophobia, and maybe an Archaeomancer. That would be nice. Or I could just live the dream and, get past Opportunity or something, and that would just be insane. But alas, we did not. Minotaur Abomination is a fine finisher. I don't really have many ways to finish out the game. Sengir Vampire can just get killed, and then we're just in trouble. So I'm just going to pick up this guy. It's better than Undead Minotaur, in my opinion, um, for what we need it to do right now. All right, Festering Newt is a fine pickup. I do like Illusionary Armor, though. It can be pretty sweet to, just throw on like a flyer or something early on. Um, but I think Festering Newt is more cohesive with what our plan is, which is basically, we have the Bogbrew Witch, set up. So having two Festering Newts is going to be really good here. Okay, so nothing really here except for another Accursed Spirit. I'm fine picking that up. We do need finishers, and they're relatively fine. So Undead Minotaur is also a great sideboard card against any aggressive decks that has a lot of X2s. Ring Flesh. I don't think I would see myself playing two Ring Flesh, but then again, I don't know if I would play two Minotaur Abominations as well. I think I will just take the Ring Flesh either way. I might play two of those, but I don't know. Okay, I guess I'll pick up a cancel. Congregate is really bad news for me. I don't know why people play that card. I don't like it. I mean, it's kind of a surprise or whatever, but I don't think it's very good. We'll take. I guess we'll take the Thunderstrike here. And Zephyr Charge. I like Zephyr Charge with Dismiss into Dream, but it's just not a very good card otherwise. It can be right. It can be good in the right deck, but otherwise it's just kind of average. Okay. Alright, so we're just gonna grab all of our blue cards and all of our black cards. Unfortunately, we did not get any sweet removal spells like Liturgy, but this deck is a little different. This has got a very cohesive engine with the Bogbrew Witch and double Festering Newt and a lot of good stuff. So we're just gonna start cutting stuff here. Cut those. Um, we're gonna immediately cut some certain things that we definitely do not want to play main deck, like these. And Sanguine Bond. Okay, so we have like 27 playables. I don't think I want Dark Favor. It's decent, but I mean I have the Accursed Spirits and the Phantom Warrior to really take advantage of that card. But other than that, it's not the best. So I have two Ring Flesh, two Sensory Deprivation, two Tenacious Dead, and two Festering Newt. So that's a pretty sweet, one drop sweet, I guess. Sweet, sweet. um, Other than that, I like I think I like Sensory Deprivation over Ring Flesh. I don't think I need two Ring Fleshes. Ring Flesh is fine, like for making them trade awkwardly, but Sensory Deprivation is a permanent -3 attack power. This is more of a control deck. You just want to, you know, survive until the late game and let your late game threats take over. So, and we have a lot of sweet stuff. I mean, this Bogbrew Witch Festering Newt engine is awesome, and then Blood Baron with Newt and Tenacious Dead is awesome. Um, just Blood Baron is insane. It's just really really good. Anyways, move Divination down here. I don't believe I want two accursed spirits. I mean, they're decent, but I don't want to, draw a hand that has like, a bunch of infinite drops. I think I'm gonna cut a spirit. I'm gonna cut a scroll thief. I don't really want two scroll thieves. And I think I want to cut a wall frost. Either that or a ring flush. I think I want to cut ring flush actually, because wall frost stays around and just can just absolutely shut down the game. But we have a definite sideboard plan against like any slow deck. We'll bring in the scroll thief. Against a deck that has like a threat that we absolutely must answer, we can bring in cancel. Against decks that are not fast and not playing black, we can bring in the other accursed spirit and maybe the dark favor. And against decks that are super fast, we have two coral morphoke, two child of night, and an undead minotaur, which is awesome. So kind of sad we didn't get any sweet, you know, um, removal spells, like I said. But hey, this deck will function fine without liturgy, I believe. 10-7 seems decent. There's a lot of black abilities. I definitely want maximum black for corrupt. I definitely want maximum black for tenacious dead. But I also want to hit my blue on time. I wonder if 9-8 is more suitable. My double blue cards are Wall of Frost and Phantom Warrior. But I do want to draw a lot of black. I have a lot of black spells. I think 10-7 is actually pretty good. So I'm just gonna run with that. If I want to cut an island for a swamp, I can always do that later. Another option would be to play 18 lands, but I don't really want to do that, so I'm not going to do that. I don't like playing 18 lands in any deck that doesn't have some way of filtering. There's no merfolk looters. There's no, whatever. I don't have like faithless looting or any loot effect, any effect that lets me filter through my draws. But um, this looks pretty good. I'm actually no, I'm gonna cut a swamp and I'm gonna add an island. Just yeah. All right. Well, anyways, we'll be back for round one.